For a long time, I genuinely believed I was doing the right thing by staying quiet. My manager wasn't the loud, obvious kind of credit thief. He never said, "I did this." He never erased my name from documents or blocked me from meetings. What he did was far more effective, and far harder to confront. He blurred ownership. He spoke in calm, collective language that always sounded reasonable on the surface, but somehow always placed him at the center of everything. We decided this was the right approach. My team explored a few options. This came out of our internal discussions. And because he was senior, because he had been with the company longer, because he spoke with steady confidence and never sounded defensive, no one questioned it. Including me. At first. I told myself recognition wasn't important. That being reliable mattered more than being visible. That if the work was strong, the right people would notice eventually. That belief felt mature. Responsible. Almost noble. It was also the reason I stayed quiet while someone else slowly built a reputation on my back. The pattern didn't announce itself. It revealed itself in fragments. I would stay late redesigning a workflow that everyone complained about but no one wanted to own. The next morning, he'd present it as a process improvement we discussed. I would troubleshoot a recurring issue, document the fix, and send it privately. Weeks later, he'd reference it in a meeting as something we figured out after some iteration. Each time, I felt a brief tightening in my chest. A moment where I thought, this isn't right. And each time, I talked myself out of it. I didn't want to be the person who nitpicked credit. I didn't want to seem insecure or petty. I didn't want to create friction with someone who clearly had influence over my future. So I stayed quiet. Over time, that silence trained people. They stopped coming to me directly. Questions were routed through him. Updates flowed upward without my name attached. Decisions were made in rooms I wasn't invited to, even when they affected projects I had built from the ground up. And because I never objected, the arrangement solidified. I told myself this was just how organizations worked. Until the quarterly review. This wasn't a routine check-in. Leadership was present. The kind of people who don't attend unless something matters. The project being reviewed was one I had practically lived inside for months. I had designed the structure. I had analyzed the data. I had written the recommendations. I sat in the room while my manager walked through the slides. My slides. He spoke smoothly. He always did. Confident, measured, unhurried. The room listened. Then someone asked a question. Not a general one. A technical one. The kind that exposes whether someone understands the work or is just narrating it. My manager paused. Just long enough to be noticed. Then he answered. Not wrong, but hollow. He circled the idea instead of landing on it. I watched the room carefully. Polite nods. Subtle glances exchanged between people who noticed. The meeting ended. Chairs scraped. Conversations resumed. I stayed seated, shutting my laptop slowly. One of the directors stopped beside me. Good work on the project, she said. Then she hesitated. You'll be handling the next phase as well, right? That single sentence reframed everything. Not because she openly credited me, but because she already knew where the work lived. That was the moment I finally understood the real problem. My work wasn't invisible. I had been making it easy for someone else to stand in front of it. I didn't confront my manager. I didn't complain. I didn't escalate. I changed my behavior instead. Quietly. I stopped sending finished work privately. From that point on, updates went into shared channels. Documents were posted where everyone could see them. When someone asked for a summary, I shared the full breakdown, clearly authored, and invited discussion. Nothing aggressive. Nothing emotional. Just visible. When my manager asked for a quick recap, I'd reply, I've already shared the full details in the group thread, happy to walk through it together. Polite. Professional. Impossible to miss a tribute. At first, nothing happened. Then small shifts began. People replied directly to me instead of routing everything through him. Meeting invites started including my name. Questions landed in my inbox before they reached his. He noticed. One afternoon, after a meeting, he said casually, "You've been very visible lately." I smiled. "I'm just trying to avoid confusion." That's when he changed strategies. He stopped trying to take credit. Instead, he tried to control perception. He began framing me as overly detailed. Slow. Someone who went deeper than necessary. She's very thorough. Sometimes we don't need that level of depth. We should be careful not to slow things down. It wasn't an attack. It was positioning. I noticed leadership listening, not fully agreeing, but not dismissing it either. That was the first moment I felt real risk. Then came the major initiative. High profile. High pressure. The kind of project that brings exposure, and blame if it fails. My manager volunteered immediately. "I'll lead," he said. "I'll assign pieces to the team." Days passed. Then weeks. No assignments came. I understood exactly what he was doing. If he controlled distribution, he controlled credit again. So I did something that felt dangerous. I started working on it anyway. Not secretly, deliberately. I built a proposal slowly. Carefully. Not flashy. Just solid. Grounded in real constraints. Thought through end to end. And instead of sending it to him, I shared it with leadership. With him included. Framed as early support. The meeting that followed was tense. Leadership dissected the proposal. Asked hard questions. Edge cases. Failure scenarios. Then someone turned to my manager. "Can you walk us through the technical rationale behind this?" He froze. Not dramatically. Just long enough. He repeated phrases from my document. Missed key assumptions. Spoke generally where specificity was required. The room went silent. Not awkward. Evaluative. That silence did what no confrontation ever could. From that moment on, the shift accelerated. Leadership stopped deferring to him. Questions came to me directly. Follow-ups bypassed him entirely. Responsibilities were reorganized soon after. Quietly. The initiative was reassigned. To me. No announcement. No explanation. What followed wasn't celebration. It was silence. Meetings continued, but the dynamic had changed. People waited for my input now. He spoke more, but defensively. He filled space where he used to control it. Then came the review cycle. Leadership scheduled individual alignment conversations. Mine was straightforward. They asked about long-term ownership. Bandwidth. Growth. They didn't ask about him. That omission said everything. He requested a meeting with me soon after. Just the two of us. He talked about collaboration. About optics. About presenting a unified front. I listened. Then I said, "I agree. Clarity is important. Nothing more. No reassurance. No apology. No concession." After that meeting, he stopped trying. The final humiliation wasn't dramatic. It happened during an all-hands meeting. Leadership announced a restructuring. New reporting lines. New ownership areas. His name appeared lower on the slide. Mine appeared higher. Not as a replacement. As a reference point. People glanced at him. Then at me. Then back at the screen. No one said anything. A month later, his role was officially changed. Advisory. No team. No ownership. No visibility. 6 months later, he resigned. No farewell email. No announcement. His calendar simply disappeared. And the work continued. I never confronted him. I never accused him. I never demanded recognition. I just stopped making it easy for him to hide behind my work. And once the truth became impossible to ignore, it didn't need defending. It stood on its own.